fantasy football.
Every year I set this league up and I never win.
All right, pick the draft order and get things going.
Make the call.
Don't talk to me like I'm an idiot.
This is the best day of my life!
Bang! Week 10 fantasy football time is here. It's Sunday, 30 minutes until the noon kickoffs, and I hope you either didn't go to sleep last night or you woke up early enough today to watch the Seahawks and Bucks game in Germany. Otherwise, if you missed it, well, you didn't miss much until about the fourth quarter when the Seahawks tried to make a comeback happen, and they did a pretty good job of that. They just could not convert on any two-point conversions, which is why the game ended at 21-16. But hopefully you reworked your lineups to plan accordingly with those guys. And I don't know if anybody saw, but Leonard Fournette didn't actually get the start in this game, Sausha.
Yeah, so I woke up to that this morning because I was checking, making sure that everything was set, that I had pieces in place, and I was like, oh yeah, that was early. And then he got almost 11 points and now is listed as doubtful with a hip injury. So.
Yep, Leonard Fournette is old. So
yeah.
He probably
Not
broke
young.
his hip and he used his walker to get off the field, but he did find his way into the end zone. So that's always a positive. Now, other storylines heading into week 10, is Justin Fields turning the corner? That's something to pay attention to as he takes on the Detroit Lions today. Josh Allen will try to play through that UCL injury. Otherwise, it's Case Keenum revenge game time. Can Tyreek Hill continue his magical season as he strives for 2,000 receiving yards to be the first receiver to ever do that? TJ Watt is officially back. The Steelers defense will be much better now.
Yeah.
Colts are 0-9 first half ATS, plus the under is 5-0 in road games this year that the Colts play. So I would parlay these two things. First half ATS in favor of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I would bet the under in this game, which that line has shifted tremendously since Wednesday. Could there be a game of backups in the Cardinals-Rams game? It looks as if Kyler Murray won't play, but the Cardinals won't make that decision until game time. And it's kind of the same for Matt Stafford. We may see, is it John Wolford? I think that's who the backup is for LA. Won't be a fun game to watch.
No.
Or maybe it will. Maybe it will.
Maybe it'll get interesting.
Maybe they will both show out and the starting quarterbacks will take a back seat. Who knows? Will Jordan Love get in this week? Maybe it's a week of backups at this point, because that'd be fun to watch Aaron Rodgers have to sit on the bench for multiple quarters. It'd be a really smart move for the Packers to pay a guy $50 million to ride the bench.
Yeah.
Just a ton of fun, crazy storylines into week 10 here. But now it comes to, what do we do? If you have questions, send them in. Start sit questions here at God Bless Fantasy Football. Sausha and myself will send those answers back to you. And we are the only fantasy podcast out there that goes live and puts your questions first and at the forefront. It's not like you can send these in to the NFL Network and you'd get your answers. Send them here. We'll give them back to you. We've been pretty consistent all year long with our picks, and it should just keep heading in that direction, keep trending upwards. Going to the quarterback spot, though, you may be thinking, do I start this person? Do I start that person? Maybe we say a name here that's like, wow, you just answered the question for me. That one name on your list, Sausha, is who?
This is my favorite thing to do, I think, is to throw things out there and have you get really angry. So I've actually got Russell Wilson on my list under quarterbacks. Okay. So Denver will need to often throw the ball.
He's on your hate list, right?
No. He struggled through shaky first half. However, they are coming off of a bye week.
Struggled is an understatement.
Has an opportunity to wipe the slate clean against the Titans defense that ranks 30th in passing yards per game allowed.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I know how bad the Titans defense is, but I also know how bad Russell Wilson is.
Hey.
And this dude just loves to kneel down at half field and just pray to the heavens and hope that something goes in his direction.
Maybe this will be the week. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my goodness. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I have been right more than I've been wrong.
I'll tell you who is going to be right this week. Me, when I tell you to start Justin Fields. Justin Fields has now rushed for at least 47 yards in every game since week 3 and has scored over 17 fantasy points in every game since week 5. And that includes what he did last week when he put 47 fantasy points together. And he's had over 23 fantasy points in 3 straight weeks, which is even better. That's why in the intro, when I said, is he turning the corner? I think so. It's at the point in the season where the Bears are finally utilizing him as a run-first quarterback and that can throw the ball on the run rather than as a pocket passer that they were trying to make him into. Just let him lead with his strengths, and they're finally doing that. He also ran for 178 yards last week. That's the most of any quarterback in the history of the game. I've been saying this since, last week, 2 weeks ago, earlier this week? I don't know. He's a league winner. Mm-hmm. He's going to win you your fantasy league. The Lions have allowed over 20 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. That's the 3rd most in the NFL. Fire Justin Fields up this week because it can only get better from here.
Absolutely. I also have got Tua on here. I think it's a really good matchup versus Cleveland. Tua should play off the run really well, so for some big plays to those wide receivers. He's also thrown for 300 yards and 3 scores in back-to-back outings for Miami. And Cleveland defense is giving up 24.9 points per game, which is the 8th highest total in all of the NFL.
He can do whatever he wants with receivers named Tyreek Hill and Jalen. He doesn't have to throw the ball super far down the field like everybody maybe hyped him up to do early on this year, or maybe that was his biggest knock. Yes, he's not Josh Allen. Yes, he's not Tyreek Hill, but guess what? Or Tyreek Hill, Pat Mahomes. But he has a guy like Tyreek Hill that can adjust to his arm strength. He has a guy like Jalen Waddle that doesn't go super far down the field on most occasions. So this is something that, I'll just avoid all of the knocks on Tua. Tua's on my list too. He's been heading in the right direction when it comes to fantasy points since returning from his injury. And it just keeps getting better and better week in and week out. I'm a big fan of Tua this week against the Browns. I also think this would be a week that you'd see Tua have to throw to win. Yes. There's just, I'm not in love with Raheem Mostert. I'm not in love with Jeff Wilson Jr. either. It's the point to where it's the Tua show, and he's going to make his receivers shine. So those are our 3 favorite quarterbacks, and I say 3, normally it'd be 4, but Tua is on both of our lists, which means it's a good play this week. Sausha, who do you hate?
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I thought
he was.
I'm just going to leave it at that. No, I'm just kidding. But the Bills don't give up much in the passing game, so it's likely to be a lower volume week for Cousins, and Buffalo's defense is only allowing 6 yards per pass attempt. So, yeah, I wouldn't start Cousins this week.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins to the bench. We love to see it. Aaron Rodgers is who I hate this week, and
let's put him on my list.
Rightfully so, right? Anytime you face a Cowboys defense, normally I say avoid that quarterback, and in this case, it makes for a really easy call. The Cowboys have allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. That's 12.9 points per game. Rodgers has yet to reach 17 fantasy points in a game this season. So the fact that you add a good defense into this mix, it just makes for a tornado of hell for Aaron Rodgers this week.
Yeah.
He's just washed. He is just washed. He's not good. He's not good. The team's not good. I don't understand how a former MVP can take such a step back in the wrong direction in just one season time. Good receivers or not, dropping passes, catching balls. They have one of the best running tandems in football, and they can't find a way to make that work. Nothing's happening for Rodgers in Green Bay, and really nothing's happening for the Packers in Green Bay.
Yeah, gross. It's just gross.
Now, I just mentioned 2 great running backs, so let's move on to the running back side of things. Neither are on my list, so don't look at me sideways here, Sausha. My first running back on my list is something that is state the obvious, Andrew. Christian McCaffrey. And why do I love Christian McCaffrey? Well, I'm saying his name on this show because I want those that play DFS, daily fantasy, to spend the money on Christian McCaffrey because he's going to feast this week. Coming out of the bye week, CMC is riding high after that trifecta of a game. Now he gets one of the worst defenses in all of the NFL against the run. and the one defense that allows the second most fantasy points to the position. I think I read a stat that on average, the Chargers defense allows over 5 yards a carry this year. That is
Holy
insane.
guac. Yeah.
McCaffrey's the centerpiece of this offense. They traded for him for a reason. They are going to get the most out of him in this matchup. Spend the money. Spend the money on DFS today.
Absolutely. David Montgomery. The Bears are facing the Lions. The Lions are going to have their hands full trying to slow down Justin Fields, like you mentioned earlier. And so David Montgomery is going to continue to see volume for the Bears, seeing double-digit carries in every game that he's been healthy for. And he'll be in a better position to get chunk yardage in a weak matchup against the Lions defense that's allowing, like you said, 5 yards per carry. That's crazy.
Well, I haven't been living under a rock. I know the workload is trending in the wrong direction for D-Mount and in the right direction for Khalil Herbert.
Yeah.
But as you said, favorable matchup. I can't support the sit. I can't afford to take David Montgomery out of my lineup because this could be the game that he gets 2 touchdowns. Anything can happen against the Lions defense. They allow the second most rushing touchdowns to the running back position this year. And in the past 3 appearances for David Montgomery, he's compiled 200 plus yards and 4 touchdowns. He's on my list too. I like David Montgomery this week.
Yeah, 100%. I like Tyler Algier this week. He is right there in the 1-2 punch, great rushing attack with Cordarrelle Patterson. Tyler Algier led the Falcons in rushing yards in week 9, even after the return of Patterson. And he'll end in this week's matchup against the Panthers. Their defense is allowing the 4th most yards on the ground to opposing running backs this season.
Yeah, I think he would go this week for like 8 for 20 yards.
Really?
Because he did that on Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Jesus Christ. See, here's the deal. I threw this together last minute and then didn't go back through because I didn't give myself time to go back through and be like, hey, pull that person out because, Awesome. I'm glad this is live so that I look like a dumbass.
It looks awesome. This is fantastic. And, he had 12.8 fantasy points and a point per rush league.
So if you
he had 2 points in a standard league. I would probably sit Algier this week.
I would not start him.
Yeah, it's an honest mistake. And, I forget about Thursday Night Football all the time, too, because I was looking at my list.
I literally don't watch it anymore because it makes me so angry.
Oh, the primetime games are just brutal. Crap. But I was looking at my team, and I'm like, man, every week I'm like, sit Kyle Pitts. Every week. And I have to sit him because the tight end position is so limited. Yeah. But every week I'm like, I'm going to put him on my hate list. And I was like, I'm going to do that this week. And I'm like, well, can't do that because they play it on Thursday. So I got to find somebody else to hate this week. It's something that, you just honestly forget about a matchup like the Falcons, Panthers. And not a lot of people watched it too, especially here locally, because guess what was happening? You had Creighton and Omaha basketball going on. You had Nebraska ball taking place. You had the women's team over at Creighton playing against USD. It was a very busy college basketball game night, and basketball is one of my favorite sports. So I chose to watch those games opposed to the whatever was weather-wise was happening on the football field in Carolina. That's where they were, right? Carolina? I think so.
I don't even know because I did not pay attention. I don't ever pay attention to Thursday Night Football.
It was super windy in that matchup. Now, let me tell you who I hate this week, though. And this is somebody that, I hate myself for drafting this guy. There's always that hope that he could be something more than he actually is. But in all reality, I just need to say, look, this right here, this is blue, right? This is never going to be green. So why am I looking at this guy who's blue and thinking that he's going to be green? And that's how I always think about this guy. Oh, it's his year. He's going to go off this year. The sky's blue. It's never going to be purple. Well, maybe it looks purple sometimes. I don't know. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not something that we think he is ever. Every time we draft this guy, it's like, hey, he's on one of the best teams in football, if not the best team in football on numerous occasions. And, it's his year. He's going to go off. They just don't use running backs in Kansas City. He played 17% of the snaps in week 9. He carried the ball 4 times for 5 yards. He had 1 catch for 14 yards. I know the Jaguars are a team that struggle against running backs, but given how little the usage is for CEH right now, there's no way he can be trusted to take advantage of this matchup. There's no way. He hasn't reached double-digit fantasy points since week 4. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he is a glorified bench running back.
Which sucks because I feel like every other week it's like he's on the like list or he's on the hate list. And there's like not a good in between, like at all. So I agree with you.
On the like list, you are still sweating about having him there.
You're like, I don't feel great about this, but there's nothing else. Right. I've got Najee Harris on my list this week. His usage is about to fade. I think they're going to favor Jalen Warren. I know he's put up just 1 game over 80 total yards with 3 total touchdowns this year, all year for the Steelers. And this week, the Steelers have had the Saints. Their defense has given up 95.3 rushing yards per game to running backs. It's right in the middle. But I just don't feel good about this one.
Yeah, Najee, I don't know why they aren't using him more like they did last year. And I haven't looked super deep into the Steelers system to know how much that offensive line has changed. I don't know if defenses are preparing for that team differently because they have a rookie quarterback calling the plays. I don't know. I just with Najee, he has so much potential. It's
another one of those running back. It's just it's a little puzzling because he's good, but yeah.
It's a great buy low spot if you're looking to trade. I don't know when most trade deadlines are. They should be coming up. Yeah. I can't imagine after week 10 there are a lot of trades, but I don't know what to think about Najee anymore. Let's get to some start-sit questions while we're at it. Then we'll transition back to our wide receivers. 13 minutes till kickoff. If you have questions, send them in live to YouTube. We are live on Hurrdat Sports. We're live on Twitter as well. Send them in. We'll get to your questions. Here's one already. Pick one to bench. Half-point PPR. This is to bench, not to play. Brandon Ayuk, Rondale Moore, Josh Palmer, George Pickens.
Rondale Moore.
I will... Yeah, I'll sit Rondale Moore too. DeAndre Hopkins runs that offense, and if they do go the backup route, I would rather have George Pickens in there. George Pickens is flashy. He's fun to watch. He really is. Half-point PPR: James Conner or Josh Palmer.
Palmer.
I'm going Palmer too. No Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. Palmer went off last week, especially in PPR formats. What was it? 10 for 108. Like that's an awesome stat line.
Yeah.
So, yes, Josh Palmer, Michael Pittman or Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Pittman.
I'd go Pittman too. I have him higher up on my list this week than I probably should, but Pittman's just so talented, and he's a lot more talented than Peoples-Jones. It's not by much, but I'd go with Pittman. Curtis Samuel or Khalil Herbert?
Ooh, Herbert.
You know, I actually think this is a good spot game for Curtis Samuel. An injured secondary in Philly, and I think Curtis Samuel's workload could benefit here because there are some loose ends back there. So I'm going to go with Samuel, but I don't hate the Herbert play as well. There's just too much of that. It's Herbert's drive. It's Montgomery's drive. It's Herbert's drive. It's Montgomery's drive. And that drives me crazy. That's a Bears fan. Let's do one more. Pick two to start. PPR, Ayuk, Pollard, Mostert, Pickens.
Wow. Ayuk.
And one more.
Oh, one more.
Pollard, Mostert, or Pickens?
Mostert.
I would start Ayuk and Pollard.
Oh.
Pollard is somebody that's been an absolute dog for that Cowboys team as of late. So I like him. All right, let's go back to wide receivers. Unless Cam, any coming in on YouTube yet? Any yes, no, maybe so?
No, nothing. No questions, actually. Just Austin jumping in, saying hello from the top, seeing how everybody's doing in the league. Just a little smack talk.
Yeah,
really.
Cool.
Okay.
Right. He did then go on to ask, in our league, should I start Olave or Ayuk?
I'd start Olave.
I think so, too.
I would go with... Why am I helping you? You're in my league. I would
no more questions from Austin.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on. No, Austin is he at the top of the pack? I would assume so. Why is he butting in mid-show if he's not at the top of the top?
Uh-huh.
All right, let's look at the standings real fast, and then we'll go into wide receivers. In the God Bless Fantasy Football League, you have 50 Shades of Trey, and that, of course, is Austin. He is 7-2. He's got a great team, and so does Schick and Nick. Watch out, Austin, because you're in trouble. Outside of that, stay safe. Say safe. Geez, see, I can't even say the Nick Baugh reference. Josh is in third place. And then if you look at kind of like the rest of the grouping, it's weird. You have Pat and JT that is somehow, some way in fourth place. Team Hale Varsity in fifth, as well as myself in sixth, both 5 and 4. But then you have Winers Take All at 4 and 5. Sasha's right behind at 3 and 6. I probably won't win this week. So Sasha, you could gain a game on me if you end up winning. But
I don't think I'm going to win this week either.
Team Hale Varsity. Good news, Geno Smith did figure it out, and Chris Godwin caught a touchdown. So that actually put me as a projected winner this week. So that could move me up to 5th place. That would be great. All right, Austin, we get it. We get it. You're in first. Great team, whatever.
Good for you or whatever.
Good. Okay, let's go into wide receivers. We have 9 minutes. Let's keep this one relatively short. Sasha, who do you like?
I have 2 on here, but I'm just going to go with the 1 and Juju Smith-Schuster. He's got he's like good mojo, man. Top target, and the Jaguars don't cover. They're not going to cover. They don't have any answers for him. Season highs with 10 catches and 12 targets last week. Continues to solidify his spot as Kansas City's number 1 heading into this matchup. And the Jaguars secondary ranks 30th in receiving touchdowns allowed to wide receivers.
I'll go with his counterpart and take Christian Kirk. 8 of 9 last week, 76 yards and a touchdown. He finally got back into his first 3 weeks form. If you go back and look at the fantasy numbers that he put up, he finished with a 31% target share and a 37% air yard share. He's topped double figures in fantasy points 6 of 9 games this year, including 5 times topping 15. The Chiefs have allowed 36.4 fantasy points per game to receivers. Plus, I think this is a game where the Jaguars are playing catch up. And that could be great for Christian Kirk, knowing that his volume could increase there. That was pretty quick. Let's do your other and then we'll just name our hates and move on to tight ends.
Sounds good. I got Joshua Palmer on here. He's the clear number 1 for LA with all of the injuries that they have on that team. And he's going to continue to see just numbers, I think. Topped 100 yards for the first time in his career last week while working as the Chargers number 1. And what else do I have on here? Could struggle a little bit to crack the Niners defense. They rank the top in the top 8 in passing yards per game allowed and passing TDs allowed. So I just think this one feels good.
Hey guys, let's laugh. Jerry Jeudy's on my list.
Wow.
And I was going to tie it into your Wilson take, but I was, that's too much of a jump because then we would be all over the place for the rest of the show. So he's been most effective downfield, right? And that's important coming into this matchup. As Sasha said, the Titans against the pass, not great. Also against the deep ball, really not great because they've allowed the most production for 20-plus yards this season. And 40.5 fantasy points per game to the position as well. Let's just hope and pray Russ did his high knees on the plane to Tennessee. Because if he did, maybe we're in for a treat.
Could be kind of entertaining to watch today, I think.
Hey, maybe we're in for a treat. I like or I dislike Adam Thielen this week because and we haven't said his name much this year, which is weird because he's normally old reliable, but you know, he just hasn't scored he has scored single-digit fantasy points in half the games this season, and he only topped double digits 4 times, but that was courtesy of a touchdown twice. Adam Thielen just isn't the Adam Thielen of last year. And it also doesn't help that Justin Jefferson is awesome.
Yeah. I don't like Brandon Cooks this week. Sat out Houston's last game after being upset by the team's unwillingness to trade him to a contender. Nice. But if he plays in week 10 against the Giants, he might return to being the number 1 wide receiver, but we don't know. It's not 100%. So I probably sit him this week.
Now, on to the tight ends, and then we'll get into your start-sit questions to round out the show. My favorite tight end this week, and hey, do you guys remember what I said on Tuesday? to pick up everybody on the Bears offense.
Is this where you're going?
Commit. We fire up big old Cole. He
Yeah.
saw a season high 6 targets last week and finished with 22 fantasy points. The ascending Bears offense. Let's go. All I need for you to convince me to start Cole this week. Lions have allowed 15.7 fantasy points per game to tight ends. That's the 4th most in the NFL. It's now 3 Bears on my list this week.
That's who I had.
Let's go.
Let's go. You know who I don't like this week?
Let's hear it.
Dalton Schultz.
I don't like Dalton Schultz anyway.
They have healthier options. They're not as dependent on him as they had been earlier in the season. Probably going to be fully recovered from a nagging knee issue. However, just doesn't feel good because obviously he's been injured. They've found other reliable options.
I don't like Mike Gesicki this week, but that's just don't start Mike Gesicki. They're going to throw it to Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. Now, I want to tie this back in really fast, and then we'll finish with some start-sit questions. In regards to the Bears doing work, right? They got Chase Claypool before the trade deadline, which means Pat Freiermuth should now see more work now that Claypool is gone. And he's become a consistent fantasy option. Just look at what he did over the past 2 weeks. 16 targets, 12 catches, 132 yards. No touchdown, but that's productive without a touchdown. Yeah. So you look at how the Steelers are kind of shaped up the rest of the year. It's kind of a point to where you're like, okay, if Freiermuth had 7 targets with Claypool, what could he do without Claypool? So think about that this week when you're starting Pat Freiermuth. Let's get into some start-sit questions. 3 minutes till kickoff. Gibson, Gabe Davis, or DeAndre Swift in the flex spot?
In the flex? Probably Swift.
Yeah, I think it's time to get Swifty. Isn't that a quote from Rick and Morty? Time to get Swifty.
Probably.
More work is coming for DeAndre Swift. He was verbally upset last week that he didn't have a lot of touches. I think it's coming this week. Juju or Chris Olave, 2 names that we already mentioned.
Juju.
I'm going to go Olave. I still like Olave. Debo or Olave? That one's harder.
Olave.
I think I'm going to go Debo here. I think Debo starts to really get going again. Need to start 2 of these 3. Pittman, Rondale Moore, Najee Harris.
Oh, my God. Pittman and you say Rondale Moore?
Rondale Moore or Najee?
Yeah, Pittman and Rondale Moore.
I'll probably do Pittman and Harris. Rondale Moore, that guy just does not tickle my pickle.
I sat him this week.
Yeah, there you go. Smart move. How about Terry McLaurin or Wan'Dale Robinson?
Ooh, Robinson.
I like Robinson too. Let's get Robinson into the end zone this week. Get colored pasture. Why not? Chubb or ETN? Full PPR before you answer.
Ooh. Before you said that, I was going to say Chubb, but in that situation, I'd probably go ETN.
See, that's what I was thinking. However, I look at ETN and that dude fumbles a ton. Like you got to stay on the field to be productive in PPR. I know you are the better passing back out of the 2, which makes for the better PPR play. So if you want that upside, go that way. But remember, ETN fumbles a crap load, a ton. So I'm going to go with Nick Chubb here just because he's Mr. Consistent when it comes to ground game, and he'll get into the end zone as well. Last one, because we didn't talk about defenses, Sasha. Let's give a defensive start sit this week. Okay. Dolphins, Raiders, or Chiefs?
Ooh.
Dolphins against the Browns, Raiders against the Colts, Chiefs against the Jags.
Chiefs.
Got to go with our own Shane Schillerberg's Raiders. We're going with the Raiders. Why not?
That was my first in my head.
Saturday's first game coaching. Can't wait to see if Saturdays are for the boys or if they're for Sundays now. Who knows? We'll see if the Colts can somehow, some way pull out a victory, but I do not see that happening. Wind it down, Cam. Let's get the music going because it's time for me to say good luck today, people. Good luck. Remember, there are many things a man can do with his time, but none are better than this. God bless you, and God bless fantasy football.